think we're on now. I think we're live. Welcome to this another impromptu. This is Impromptu 3. Okay, I hope everyone can hear me and hear Mark. Hi, Mark.
Hi, fabulous. Is it 3 already?
Yeah, 3 already, mate.
Amazing, amazing.
Yeah. Let me turn sound down on this, otherwise it'll reverb through. Yeah.
Tonight we tried to connect my YouTube friends and even the Crystal friends, and I'm not so sure if we connected my Facebook, so this will be quite interesting.
You've definitely done your Facebook.
Wow.
Yeah, it's definitely Facebook's definitely showing up. So yeah, you've paired Matt Bajerski Crystals, Matt Bajerski Facebook, and your main Matt Bajerski YouTube channel.
I want a gold star.
Yeah, you've managed to do it. An old bastard has managed to configure his way around.
Like this, just doing this.
Yeah, tapping away. Yeah, I'm about the same as well. I'm just only getting a new computer, and the guy that builds my computers has sent me through. Yeah, you've got one choice of this or this, and I'm thinking, why do you have to give me a choice? Why can't you just say you're having that?
I said to the girl when I was buying this computer, will it just say press this button?
Yeah.
That's all I want. Whatever I do, just press this button.
Ejector. Yeah.
ChatGPT wouldn't allow me to analyze me and said, "I'm sorry, you couldn't pay me enough."
Computers, though. Yeah. It's taken me 5 years to get Chris to get a new computer. Right. He even struggled with a laptop that gave him a migraine before admitting there was something wrong with this computer.
Wow.
Yeah. That's how stubborn he is. I respect his stubbornness. I've got a bit of that myself, but...
Is your microphone set up to your computer? Are you on your default microphone?
Default microphone. Why is it not? Is it sounding crap?
It sounds a bit echoey and not as.
Told me that before. Yeah, we've just been talking for 20 minutes.
There you go. Now you're on. Now whatever you've done, it's a different. It sounds completely different now.
Right, that's fantastic. It did it the other day.
My ears are still working.
Yeah, but they're not working that good because we've been talking since 7 o'clock.
That's a good point. Yeah, sorry about that. That's why nobody will ever ask me to edit anything for them or do anything live.
That's the whole point of doing a sound check.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Why you ever stayed my mate? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it's been, what is it now? 1993 when I first 1993 first met you.
Where did we actually? Do you remember the day we met? I don't remember the day. I can't remember.
Well, it was very early on when we opened our phone business up in at Ray Street Enterprise Centre in Huddersfield.
Oh, that was it.
Yeah, because
yes,
you had your business just down the other side of the way.
Huddersfield Auctions.
That's right, and you came in for a phone.
I did. Yeah. And you two were. I'd never met anybody like you. You and your partner. You were like absolutely. Batshit crazy.
Oh, as opposed to you being sane?
I was extremely sane.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's so funny. Funny. I mean, you guys were just looking for a way to have fun all day. Yeah. And I was an easy target. You know, what's your name? Bajerski. Bajerski. Yeah. They were the days. I mean, that fun and that joking and that sense of humor seems to have died. I don't know. I don't see it anywhere. I'm walking around and just talking to people, and there is no sense of humor has just gone. So I feel like here that one of the things that I struggle with here is that my conversation isn't really who I am. When somebody speaks, I'm like thinking, I could have just said that.
Yeah,
I could have just said that. I could have just said something that would have been, made me laugh and probably made them laugh, but I can't.
It's probably why me and Chris, when we do our podcasts and he takes piss out of me and vice versa, he probably gets it off my chest, because otherwise, who can he talk to? I mean, me and you can take piss out of each other, but Jacko Crabclaws in chat there, we have a laugh as well. But I mean, old school jokes and stuff like that, it's just gone. It has gone, and it's very sad. I really sympathise with the people, like our eldest kids who are in their early 30s, who were brought up on good senses of humour, as in comedy and things like that. They were probably the last generation to hear that type of comedy.
Yeah. Yeah, and it is character building as well. It really does build your character up. It builds it up. It knocks your ego out.
Yes.
For sure it does. And you start to laugh at yourself and look at yourself in a way that you would not normally look at yourself.
No.
You know, and not take yourself too serious. And the world has become so serious. And that serious energy is actually negative. It's very negative. And I feel like that sometimes. I feel negative because I'm not able to express myself in the joy and the laughter that I'm used to, and nobody else is around me at all. They just don't get it. And when I tell a joke, it's like,
gone. And also, even if it is a joke and they look round like, oh, we can't laugh at that.
That's what I'm saying. Nobody can, everybody's on tender hooks. Everybody's frightened of you know, saying anything. People are petrified now. And that's exactly what all by design, Dom. We know it.
All by design. Yeah. Definitely all by design. I think, you know, we were talking earlier, me and Chris, actually, and that's the overriding thing we get is the sense of humour, not Dom's research or Chris's ingenuity or whatever. It's more the humour, but it's the part we never planned. I mean, we always wanted to do the research, but the humour was just, it's not something like you sit down and, oh, we're going to tell that joke and we've got to make sure it's funny, or we've got to make sure there's a laugh going on.
No, I think that's why your podcast is so liked, because it's so natural. And, you know, in this day and age, I hate to say it, but everything is so fake. It's so AI. It's all, you know, scripted. And there's so much scripted stuff out there. And people are getting used to that. And actually, some people say, you know, like listening to you, it's a breath of fresh air because it's genuine. It's not scripted. It's off the cuff. It's, you know, and that to me is missing gold. It's like liquid gold, which has gone.
We used to see that, right? I'm sure TV was a program to change people's mind culturally, etc. Even when we were young, not so overtly as it is now, but it was funny. You used to sit in front of your telly crying with laughter at times with what were on television.
Totally crying.
Yeah,
I mean, literally. Tears running down. I want that healing.
Yeah, literally. You know, whether it were Only Fools and Horses or even bloody the variety performances, Phil Cool and stuff like that, and just everything that were on telly was
Dom Jolly.
Dom Jolly, yeah. Thick as mince they are. Do you know the irony? I said this the other day on a podcast that.
You'll have to tell everybody why we're talking about this, because we've probably got a lot of people here on.
I've seen them coming through from yours. So it comes through as a paired message.
Well, just explain to them why I've mentioned Dom Jolly.
Well, obviously Dom Jolly, I can't even call him a comedian because he's not that funny, but a comedian. He did last year or the year before. He did a tour called Conspiracy Something or Other. And basically taking the piss out of conspiracy theorists. He did a live tour and he wrote a book. And one of them was about that Finland doesn't exist, something I've never heard of, right? But he went to Finland and to see if it really did exist, just to take the piss out of people that are questioning the narrative, basically. Right. So I thought, I'm going to have a look at this freak, because he actually said all these conspiracy theorists do is watch YouTube, and that's where they get their information from.
Right.
So me and my assistant Lorraine, lovely assistant Lorraine, who somebody met in 2020. Again, a lot of these people we've met in the last 5 years. Yeah, become really good friends with people through. That's what that did. People rose up, if you like. Anyway. So I thought I'll have a look at Dom Jolly. So we did a full breakdown of his genealogy, where he come from, yada yada yada. And we worked out a lot of interesting things. I found it quite interesting, not necessarily knocking Dom Jolly, right, or taking the piss out of him. It was more that, wow, that's all his history, you know. I.e., like his grandparents ran what the class as a spy school and a secret listening. So in World War II, they were planning to have stay behind the lines like trained operatives. That would espionage, sabotage, etc., and also train radiographers. And they had a radio station in their loft, and they were training people how to use. So they were actually training people how to use these secret technologies So his grandparents were all
As you
spies,
do.
as you do,
As your
as you would in the war, yeah. But his grandparents were all spies,
Yeah.
right? And he's going round then, basically doing what the BBC were doing to people who questioning the narrative. Anyway, so he didn't quite like that, and he sort of lost his
I
marbles
know.
over it.
I saw that. I was really interesting. Yeah. He kind of he embarrassed himself. Really, he embarrassed himself with that. He put out a short, right? Was it a short?
That's correct. Yeah.
And I watched it and thought, this guy is extremely triggered
happy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, unhappy.
It triggered sad.
Yeah.
And I thought, yes, you've actually, and you know what? If you dish it out, you've got to be able to take it.
Yeah.
So and some people just can't. And all you did was point out fact.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But the interesting part of all that was, not only was it all true, that he had to bring into it that we were of a lower intelligence.
That's
right.
Of course.
So whether lower, yet we'd done a 2-hour presentation of all his genealogy and all his history that nobody had ever seen before. He'd never written about it in a book, funnily enough, Mark, that he was part of the Byzantine bloodline, and his great-great-great-grandfather was one of the first directors of the Bank of England, and things like this, right? That normal people, everybody's great-great-grandparent was one of the Bank of England.
My great-great-granddad was...
Yeah, mine was as well, yeah. And he had a spy school. And
my dad did as well.
Did your great-great-great-granddad as well? Were he locked up in 1914 in Turkey as a spy for the duration of the war? No, they're all, everybody's is,
Yeah.
But
so the interesting thing, Dom, is that when he spoke about the actual video, he never pointed anybody in that direction. In fact, he actually said, I'm not even going to mention who they are because they don't deserve it.
That is music to my ears. Well done. But anyway, do you know what? If somebody had done my genealogy like that, right,
you would have appreciated it.
I don't care where it goes. That's it.
Me too.
But obviously, he didn't want people to know that a lot of his family were actually some of them had been given CBEs and MBEs for their diplomatic services. Let's just say. Yeah,
it's phenomenal, isn't it? When you start looking at the patterns of these people, when you start researching. I mean, I've got it from you, really. It doesn't shock me at all.
No, it doesn't shock you. No.
There's almost a psychic element to it, because it's like, why do you pick certain people? I mean, why? Because lots of people say conspiracy theorists are so and so. Loads of what's his name? Piers Morgan says it all the time. But why is it that you went for him? Because there must have been something that drew you to his...
Well, his thing that drew me was the fact that, one, they were questioning people's intelligence, right? Yeah. So he came across all superior. So he went from, I'm just a comedian, to I'm superior than everybody else, and you're an idiot, basically. You're thick as mince. Yeah. And I thought, well, I'll show you I'm not thick as mince. We'll do some real research on you, and we'll show you what we can do. And we uncovered a 2-hour documentary on his family's history. Which would have rivaled the BBC's "Who Do You Think You Are" if they'd have used that information. That his family ran a secret spy school.
Well, even if they did that, they wouldn't have said it in that particular tone. They would have used different words. Yeah. They wouldn't have said it spy school. They would have said.
But that term was in a book. I got the book. Lorraine bought me the book. Actually, I found the book online. What happened was I did the first part of the research. Then Lorraine were digging away again, so we had to do a second part to it. And we found there a book, and it showed this house called Mamina, I believe it was the name was, in somewhere down the south of England. And they'd written a book about this area where it was and there was a chapter in it talking about how that area was part of the stay behind the lines. It went into great detail and actually mentioned his grandfather in that book. Yeah. So anyway, he didn't write to that author and say that you're a conspiracy theorist, because you were writing the truth.
Anyway, it's now time to talk about. I've tried all different products in the world, and this is the best product I've ever tasted. I just want to say thank you, Dom.
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, that's the new Quality Vitamin C.
And thank you for the defense.
Yeah.
Fabulous. I'm taking it, and it's brilliant. Yeah.
Well, that Quality there is obviously most of the stuff that is out there, the powdered stuff especially, is high quality. So, but like everything else, that's a finer powder than the other powder, and so it dissolves quicker. Simple as that. And it's the only one grown in Scotland as well. So, well, it's the only one made in Europe. Let's just say.
Wow, that's great. Well, anyway, I'm taking it and feeling great. So thank you. Thanks very much. I appreciate it. And I do mention it on my channel every now and again. I'll tell people, but in fact, no, I don't normally mention it. What I do is people send me a message and inbox me and ask me, what vitamins do I take? And I'll say, just head over to Health Bunker. So hopefully some people will listen and try it out, because it's good stuff and you're not buying, you don't.
I take it all myself.
You know what you're buying from Dom is my mate.
I take it all myself, and I've done for years. And we've got 3.
So do all the other podcasters when they're selling something. I've been taking this for a long time now. Like, you don't take it all. You're a liar.
You know the irony is, right, that I spent literally getting back to health, literally, and I'm sure there's people in the chat the same. Literally thousands of pounds on supplements and treatments and tests and all these types of things, trying to find out what we're wrong with over the last 15 years and whatnot. And so what you do is you whittle away the stuff that's worked for you. That doesn't mean to say that stuff won't work for someone else as well. What hasn't worked for you might work for someone else. That's how it goes, isn't it? But even the multi-vitamin the multi-capsules that I do, it might look like, it's just vitamin this and mineral that in there. But every one I've chosen is because they're the active, especially the vitamins, are the active version of the reason being is because I was, my MTHFR gene was turned off, which means my methylization would goose. If I took vitamins that needed to be methylized, I might as well just pour them down the toilet.
That meant absolutely nothing to me, but
basically, you can't turn your food into energy, and you can't detox.
Why is that? Is it because you had an underlying issue?
Yes. Well, Lyme disease has caused that. Basically, damaged my DNA, if you like.
Wow. And do we know where Lyme disease comes from?
Well, I think that's on the table now. There's a lot of people written books about it now, and I've been talking about it for the last 10 or 15 years.
So what do you think?
Well, it was a biowarfare weapon, wasn't it? It's been really, there's papers out now in the 1960s that were dropping ticks all over the place. In Cuba, they were dropping ticks on Cuba, what Americans after the Cuban Revolution. They were dropping it length and breadth of Britain and what have you. These were all growth modified, if you like, or biologically altered bacteria that were injected into ticks. Now,
could it also come from something else? Could it actually be put into corporation food? Could it be like minute bacteria that is put into, let's say, flour, or it's just something that I find.
I think they're aiming from so many different angles. I mean, Operation Cauldron was an operation that ran for 30 or 40 years.
Incredible.
From 1943, during World War II, to 1989. 800 operations.
And was this to drop down ticks on people? Or
multitude of different things. They were dropping all sorts of stuff down. Zinc cadmium, which is, they've now realised it's a neurotoxin. It also causes respiratory issues, lung cancer, any sort of respiratory problem that people might have, bronchial issues.
What was the reason? What was the official reason why they were dropping that, or wasn't there an official reason?
The official reason was that they were testing the outcome of a supposed attack from Russia. So they were trying to copy a chemical warfare attack and measure how far it would go.
On their own people?
On their own people, yes.
Wonderful. Don't you just love the military-industrial complex?
I trust them, don't you?
Totally. In fact, I'm signing up. I think I'm going to head over to...
in fact, it were down in the... I think it were Dorset, anyway, down there, but near where Lance comes from. Poole, that area. They were spraying it from a military ship in a 10-mile radius over the coast to see what would happen. So then they were monitoring people, how ill, what they were doing, going to hospital and all that kind of carry on.
You can't make this shit up, can you? And it's so hard for people to even digest it. But I think people are becoming more like, the trigger mechanism for most people is I don't want to hear, but now it's like, I believe. I actually don't disbelieve anything anymore. What our government has done and what the military, which they are two different bodies, two different wings of the same body, but I still think they're all very much connected.
Oh, it's very connected. Yeah, they're. To do an operation that's just in this country. Not it happened in America as well. They were doing it in the Caribbean. They were doing it in Africa. I mean, they've apparently turned these operations off now. I mean, has it?
Yeah, I totally believe that.
Yeah, so do I. I wouldn't say they turned them off. They've just improved them.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, in the skies, they improve all the time in what they're doing. But I mean, there is still a lot of the chemtrails are still there all the time. You would have thought they'd have managed to, create something which was more invisible rather than showing us. But then that's exactly my point, Dom. Now they don't give a shit. They don't care what they do.
Look what's happening in Gaza.
Yeah,
they don't give a fuck.
No,
they don't care. That's what George Carlin said. They don't give a fuck.
No, they
don't care.
No, and it's hard for people like us to, live through it, and you get tired and exhausted in trying to share the truth to the world, and then wonder, have we actually made any improvements? Has anything really changed? And to me, I still look up and it's still sprayed, even though everybody told me that everything was going to change when this guy got into power. And I'm like, okay, so when have you ever believed anybody in power? Never, but this is different.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the chances of that is pretty slim, but fair enough. Okay, day one, we're going to give you all of this information that they've suppressed. Day one went a long time ago, and we haven't been given anything.
No.
And and then this idea of new. Go on then.
It's just highlighting what you're talking about. We have to be careful how we mention this. But what I'm trying to say is that these people that get voted in, they just look like salesmen to me. They look like Musk, Trump, RFK. They've drawn everybody into believing all this stuff. And then
and all of them.
I'm not going to read this out, by the way. But people can read. I'm not going to read it out. People can read it while we're talking. Okay. Just because they'll probably pull the plug on the podcast.
Okay.
But he's now flipped. He's telling everybody to go and get the arm spears.
Yeah. Three dart finish. Britney Spears.
Yeah, exactly. The 3 dart finish. He's now telling it. And when I was saying this to people, and I'm sure you did, that don't believe these guys.
I lost like 25% of my followers when I said that this guy is compromised like every other politician is compromised. They don't allow them in, guys, unless they're compromised. There's no way they would let anybody in unless they're compromised one way or another. It could be that they've had their pants pulled down, or they've had an affair with somebody, or they've done something that they shouldn't have done. They're all compromised. And that's why you scratch your head thinking, well, why aren't they doing what they said? And then you try and explain this to people, and then give it another 5 years, and I guarantee you we're going to get the same again, and people are going to start saying, no, but he's different, but this guy's different. And it's like, no, I'm 57. I've lived through it. I can tell you there's no such thing.
No. These people work for something different to what we think. Well, what we can see. We can sort of picture what these entities are like, who they're working for, or who are running the show, or who are driving these types of people. But the average Joe cannot envisage that when they're watching BBC One.
Yeah, I think what the problem is that people want to believe.
Yes,
that's their main hook to everybody. So they'll tell you what you want to hear.
Yeah,
right. And there'll be some truths in it, for sure. There will be.
Yeah,
but overall, that's got nothing to do with being compromised and being put into a position where they want that position, they want that power. And after they've got that power, then whoever is the puppet master then tells them who they should be, who they should be with, Rabbi Shmoozy. You will probably all already heard of this guy. I mean, if you want evil, then you just study it anyway. But the point being is, it's not good. None of it's good. None of it is for your benefit. None of it is going to help you. It's all about an agenda, for sure. It's all about an agenda, and that agenda is like 2030. And it's moving closer to, everybody hating religion, everybody hating Christianity, everybody hating anything to do. And then all of a sudden, everything becomes, David Icke was absolutely right. Honest to God, he was right. It's all becoming a one world system. That's it. And he was right.
Jordan Maxwell said it. All these people have been saying it for 50, 60, 70 years. In fact, before that, there's books written that's what they were aiming for in the turn of the last century.
David is my era, so I'm going to mention David.
Yeah, too right. Yeah,
you mentioned Jordan Maxwell. Absolutely, I'm avid. I've always listened to him on the Richie Allen radio show, and there are people who they took their information from.
Yes.
So this isn't David Icke being a superhero and psychic, and he says that. He said, look, just follow the information. But I think one thing he said which really made sense is if you know the outcome, if you know what the outcome is going to be, it's easy to know what they're going to do next. Yeah. And that is so true, Dom? It's like what I saw when some girls went up, went up in a ride, right? When they went up there. All I saw, they said they went to space. I think, I don't think so, but they went up for a ride. They came back down. All I saw was the Hunger Games, and the elite women eating all the fancy food and all of that. That's all I saw when I was watching it. Right, somebody sent it me. I'm like, I'm just looking at the Hunger Games here. You've got a lot of people who are hungry and starving, and you've got all these elite eating fancy food and wearing outrageous clothes and being at the best place. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's that, and I think I think by what I'm looking at on the internet, what's been shown to me, people haven't taken kindly to it at all. People are starting to figure out what this is all about, and it is the Hunger Games. It's literally being created as we speak.
In front of his eyes.
Right. Absolutely. That's how it feels. And somebody once said to me that it'll all implode in itself because of its own madness. And let's hope so. Let's see if it does.
I'm trying to find a picture of the said nonsense rocket. I've got it on the next Matrix. It's a video that I've just done that's coming out probably this week at some point.
Well, all I got was that to me. All that was to me was a promotional opportunity for the women in there, and somebody was saying that they were holding things up like
butterfly. Katy Perry held the bloody monarch butterfly up,
right? And the reason why is because she had all the dates on for a tour, right? And they're all screaming in there. If you went up in a ride, right? You'd be looking out of the window wanting to see if the world was round or flat, right? You'd want to be like just shut up, everybody. But all I heard was screams, and it's like, well, maybe that's what happens when you're on a ride.
Yeah.
Yeah, but astronauts, fantastic.
Astronauts.
Yeah, they trained for a long time for that.
It's do you get a lot of emails, people asking you about like health conditions and stuff like that?
All the time. Yeah, and I always say to them, I'm not a health expert.
No,
I would direct them to people who are real experts, and I just say to them, this is what I did. But it's not always
exactly.
Everybody's body is different. So this is what I try. Some people take my teas, and I've just said the life's changed. Some people take my teas and sent me messages, actually send me photos of stuff coming out of them. I get people, like very rare. But I had somebody had a terrible stomach ache, and it lasted a long time.
And could be a detox or that.
I know, but it kind of threw me a little bit, and I don't want people to So I've kind of like shut up a little bit now, because for me, if one person doesn't feel well after drinking my tea, that makes me feel bad. And I did everything to help. And I said, what, keep me informed. What are you doing? How are you healing yourself? And fortunately, she's a really good friend of mine. And
I think we should do some possibly some specific health type conversations. To be fair, might even get somebody on there who can have a chat with as well. That might be a good one to do for us.
The thing is, you don't know what's going on in the gut, right?
Yeah.
You don't know whether that person has a massive issue with tapeworm. They might have a tapeworm longer, or whatever it could be. They could have the beginning of a leaky gut. It could be anything.
There's no quick fix. That's the problem. For me to turn my guts around on me, it took me years. Literally years.
This is the problem. People don't want to hear that.
No, I haven't eaten bread. I've only just started drinking dairy. I haven't eaten bread for over 10 years, probably. Because I was borderline celiac when I had my. The actual functional doctor said you're not quite celiac, but you're on the line of being a celiac. When your test came back, and it hasn't changed. So gluten to me is like kryptonite.
But also, Dom, I can honestly say that if you ate some of our bread, right? So we grow our own corn, and we grow our own in Serbia, right? And it's not sprayed; it's all organic, and the seeds are actually old seeds, from the farmers there, so they're all genuine. So when that gets crushed up, we bring a few bags back, and we make bread. You wouldn't get a stomachache.
Yeah.
So then my argument is that you're not celiac. You're just.
Well, it's a modern. It's shite, basically. Somebody mentioned here about chronic fatigue at CFS.
Yeah, is that yuppie fever? Is that MS?
That's what they used to call in the 80s, yuppie flu.
Because the rich people.
Well, they thought they were getting it from the air conditioner and all that type of stuff. They couldn't understand why people. One day they were all right, the next day. They were just, and chronic fatigue isn't like what people think it is. I mean, I struggled with it for a long, long time. My wife worse than me, actually. And it's not about being tired. We all get tired. It's about, so I can be talking to you like this. We can close the show down and just walk in there, and you get a feeling like all your life's just drained out of you.
Yeah.
So you could walk up the steps feeling all right, get to the last one, and it's like, everything's gone, and you go, oh. And then there's other stuff as well. That causes psychological issues. Then it causes sleep issues. Ironically, you're so tired that you can't actually sleep. It's a weird feeling.
That is awful. That is awful.
Anyway, so the stuff that we've done, obviously detox is a part of it. It's an overused word, but it takes years. There's no actual. Most people who've got chronic fatigue, that gene who I would mention in the MTHFR, the mother gene, has been turned off. That means then because you can't methylize food, which basically means turn it into energy. That's one of the issues. So if you're eating food that needs turning into energy, it's going to create more tiredness, if you like, more fatigue, because your body can't handle it, and then it can't get rid of it. And generally, people with chronic fatigue have digestive issues as well, so they've got either constipation or whatever. So it's just a horrible situation. Some of the stuff that I've used are green juicing, cutting out all the histamine from food. So
like what?
Well, I devised the diet. This was while I was fucked as well, so I don't know how I did it, but
wow.
So, yeah.
Wow.
This was back in 2015, something like that. I realised that I had to start again from a blank slate, if you like, with diet. And so I got rid of, obviously, gluten, dairy, alcohol. I never really drunk alcohol anyway, so it wasn't really a big thing for me. But all the things that were known that could cause a problem. And then anything in food that I knew could cause a problem. And one of them was histamine. So histamine's created by dying bacteria in your system. It's also, you get it from food. It naturally occurs in food as well. Right. And your immune system produces it when you're ill. Right. So what the doctors give you, they give you antihistamines. Right. Which turns off something that should be happening naturally.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. So what you get then is a load of stored histamine in your system that you don't need.
Wow.
So you've got to get rid of this residue histamine and stop putting more in. So what I did was I took out all the histamine based. Bear in mind, I were eating a very limited diet at the time as well. Right.
Like what? What was your limited diet?
Well, we were trying to build our gut microbiome back up. So we were taking a lot of some of the supplements we were taking, like L-glutamine, which I've just started selling on the site, but I'm not saying it because of that. Betaine is another one which rebuilds your stomach acid up. So there were some of the things that we were doing. Collagen, obviously, as well. And there's different sorts. You can get fish collagen, obviously beef collagen, or even plant-based collagen. To help build up the gut. It's also good for skin and things. But I took out one area that I took out was histamine, because I had respiratory issues and things like that as well.
Yeah.
But it was more than that. So histamine creates mast cell activity, which is basically inflammation all over your body. Yeah. And it's not a nice feeling, believe me. And so my diet was quite plain to start with, like fish, vegetables, olive oil, wherever. Yeah. I had to cut out a lot of the vegetables because they carried their own histamine in there. So for about a year, 2 years.
What did you cut out?
What did I cut out? A lot of fruits. I found that there was one type of apple I could eat, which was a golden delicious green apple.
Right.
That had very little histamine in it. So this were all research. So before I was doing the research on the idiots that we're seeing in power, I was researching what fucking food had histamine or things in it. Naturally occurring, by the way. They're not chemically added or anything like that. Just some foods have. Like even avocados that are sold to us as superfoods, right, are high in histamine. So I had to stop eating avocados for a long time.
Right.
And so I couldn't eat them in my juices. Fortunately, coconuts don't have histamine in. Fortunately, a lot of other stuff that we're eating didn't have histamine in. Otherwise, I don't know what I'd have been eating. But I also cut out things like that carried, say, anything that naturally caused, carried like latex in the food, like bananas. That's why there's natural latex in bananas. But obviously, people are allergic to latex. So I thought, although I haven't tested that I'm allergic to latex, I'm going to cut everything out that might possibly cause a problem and start adding it back in after a few months
and seeing how it goes. Yeah, that's what I did when IBS, but my IBS never got fixed. Even though I knew what it was when I was living in the UK.
Well, I had IBS,
which was, I tell you what it was: eggs that I'd struggle with, coleslaw from Marston's chicken shop. That would always trigger me.
Yeah.
And like heavy beef, if I had beef.
Well, eggs are high in lots of different things, good things, but there were another product that I cut out of the diet, and I'll get the pronunciation right. It's called it's a chemical called salicylates. Yeah, and it's actually, they use it on the coating of, say, headache tablets and stuff like that. And some people can have allergic reaction to salicylates, and I think eggs are quite high in salicylates, and I think a lot of other foods have that can create. So bear in mind, I mentioned histamine, but there are about 20 things on this list, from pollen through to salicylates, through to lots of other things. Yeah, this isn't poison, by the way. These are naturally occurring in these foods. These aren't pesticides or anything like that. These are naturally occurring in these foods. That because I was made chemically sensitive by Lyme disease, whatever Lyme disease is, the biowarfare. If you were going to invent a stealth warfare weapon, you'd make people sound sensitive. Like I still don't listen to music now. I couldn't stand the sound, right? Over a certain range of sound. So I was sound sensitive, chemically sensitive, electrosensitive, food sensitive, chemical, all these things. So you had to narrow it down.
Totally. Well, I used to take an apple cider vinegar. I do often. That's a real healer in my. In fact, I'm just finished with my last one. So I take a little capful every day.
So those two products there,
Which
I
one?
were allergic. Those two products, sauerkraut and cider vinegar.
Yeah. But some sauerkraut, depending on what's wrong with your gut, can be an issue.
Right. What I'm trying to say is, though, so sauerkraut, fantastic product, right?
Yeah, it is.
Apple cider vinegar with the mother in it, fantastic product.
Yeah.
I were allergic to both of them.
Yeah, exactly what I'm saying. So like this is the problem. Some people say this is the cure, and then we don't really know what's going on inside.
No.
We haven't a clue, and we don't want to go and have a CAT scan. We don't want to go and do that, or we don't want things put up our bum, and we try and figure it out ourselves. But it is an interesting topic.
Somebody says I'm making you feel frustrated here, Mark.
I am. Well, that's story of my life.
No, I'm making you feel frustrated.
I'm not frustrated, no.
No, it says, I'm very uncomfortable watching this. I feel Mark is frustrated.
No,
What the other man's opinion, experiences with food, etc.
No. It's nothing to do with that.
I know that.
No.
I think you're getting it wrong. Ola, I think you're getting it wrong end of stick, kid.
No. This is important because
I just want people to bear in mind that this podcast here, as it says impromptu, me and Mark every now and again will text each other and say, let's do a show. Yeah?
Yeah.
That's it. It's not Mark's show. It's not my show. We're just having a conversation like we would if we were together, so just bear that in mind.
No, I love talking to Dom, and what it is like I'm very aware of people who watch the podcast, and I'm starting to understand more and more that it is important not to say something as it's solid truth.
Yes.
And I try my best to say, look, I'm no doctor. I shouldn't really be talking about this, but this is my experience. And actually, I'm realizing now that our body is so damn complicated. And there are so many reasons why we go through so much. And we're just tapping into one aspect, which is the physical, but the emotional and the spiritual is attached to this as well, as you know, Dom. And, our bodies can heal so much quicker when we haven't got stress. Our body can heal so much quicker when we have healing sessions, when we have, going into what you have, saunas and things like that. There's so many things that we can do to help. But my point being is I kind of get a little bit like I hope people don't think they're going to fix themselves in a week. Like we're so used to going to the doctor and he says, take this for 2 weeks and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
And this is the aftermath of the medical industry. People think that they can be cured, and it's not a cure. It's a suppression. They stop the actual issue at hand, but it doesn't actually cure anything.
I actually had that thing. Going back to what we were talking about before, I was going on about diet there, where we said to people email you. People need to get permission to look after their own health. I mean, our Health Bunker slogan underneath, I was saying this to you before we started, is it's your life, own it. And really, that is. Now, that doesn't mean to say that you can't go to a GP or a doctor. I'm sure there's still some very good ones out there. I'm sure of it. They're not all murdering, arm-spearing motherfuckers, right? I'm sure some of them are very good. However, we've got to control our own destiny at times as well. And we've all made. I used to make excuses up. And I'm not saying I've got a perfect life. I'm still recovering or still ill from whatever I've had. And I don't know if I've mended the damage even. Some days I don't feel right. But I'm fortunate for some reason, like you have, Mark, I've got an eternal light in me, this energy that just keeps driving me forward. I can't understand it, but even when I were really ill, I was like that. Whether it's fortune or the poison chalice, I don't know, but...
it's interesting. It's interesting because these challenges that we go through certainly show us who we are. It certainly does. It tests us for sure. It challenges us, but I can't stop. I can't stop talking about what I talk about, and sometimes there's weeks where I get so exhausted talking about things that people probably already know. And I'm like, why am I just, this echo chamber?
Yes.
That's what people say now, echo chamber. But there is some truth in that.
There is. I mean, this chap here, Alexander, who's wrote this Detox Never Melts, it is an important thing. The downside, it's not a downside, but detoxing heavy metals. There's so many different ways, so many different things that people say do and and I've got machines upstairs that help you put your feet in that draw heavy metals out and the water turns black, and got an infrared sauna that. And
can I ask you a question?
Capsules.
Does the water turn black when your feet aren't in it?
It turns different colours. That's the irony. So it can turn black and brown, and that's liver detox. It can turn green yellow, that's urinary detox, and it can turn I think it's black, no red black, and that's obviously blood detox. So there's no chain of events that says it's exactly the same every time. My wife can use it after me, and it'll be the same color, or the next time there'll be different colors. So it's not a program that's running through it, and the benefits of that is unreal. I'll send you the name. You ought to get one. You just put your feet in it for 20. I think it's half an hour, and it's totally painless. It's like a bioresonance field through water. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
No, I've heard of it before. I heard a few people saying, that if you don't put your feet in it, the water turns.
It does. It does.
So what they say there's bullshit, and I'm like, well, you can't say that unless you've tried it. But there is a lot of stuff out there that I don't know. I still believe that there's still this. My belief is that we can self-heal when we believe in something enough as well. So
mindset's a big thing, Mark.
Yeah.
100%. Mindset's a big thing. But I also think we're all different, aren't we?
Yeah.
Mindset-wise. And if I equate like our Christian, my brother, he's an eternal optimist, is our Chris, which is it's a great place to be sometimes. And he'll admit himself, it's not a great place to be sometimes.
Yeah.
I would, me and Mark Devlin have a laugh. He says he's a suicidal nihilist, right? So total opposite end of the spectrum. I'd say me and you are quite pragmatic, right? That doesn't mean to say that, I err on the positive side of pragmatism, right? That doesn't mean to say I'm better or Chris is better or Mark's better, but I think it's just how we are. So we're all going to, when we have something that comes up in his life, whether it's good or bad, we're all going to react differently to it, aren't we?
That's so true, and that's what we all have to understand. We're all extremely different in our reaction, And when some people ask me, I'd like to react differently, I'd like to be more calmer, I also want to say, well, that's wonderful, but you're not a robot.
No.
And when somebody's trying to tell you to not react, it is basically being at school and the teacher telling you to shut up. I wouldn't do that to you. But what you can do is heal from that reaction by looking at why you react at that. And that's the same with health as well. I think we need to look at the root cause of everything. And like somebody's just said on here, that we're living in a toxic soup. So the things have changed. The skies have changed. The computers have changed. The
waters have changed.
I've got a meter reader here. If I put it next to my keyboard, it goes off scale. So everything's changing now. We don't know what our body is being affected by energy frequency, which is harmful to our body. That's why sometimes we can't sleep. That's why sometimes we can't stop thinking. That's sometimes where we can't stop eating, and on sometimes because our body clock isn't meant for this frequency.
No.
I walked past a cell tower today, and it was massive, Dom. It was massive. It's in Marbella, and it's got about 40 of these, energy weapons on. And underneath it was a big tree, and it was really green. And I thought, wow, it's been there for like 5 years, and the tree looks really healthy. And then I turned and looked, and there was a huge tree the size of that, and it was dying.
Just burn out.
So the frequency wasn't affecting the tree below it, but it was at the side.
And that's why when we all talk about, say, the jabs and stuff like that, I actually think there's a positive side to the jabs. I'm not saying they were good for us. I'm saying the reason they ran whatever it was is because it's not just about the negative. They don't care about us. We're cattle, yeah? And likewise, the 5G, they're looking for what does it do positively. You might only do it to 10 people, right?
Right.
But they will monitor those 10 people.
Totally.
And so all these chemicals that are being put into this soup is done for some kind of eugenics program. And out of that will come some sort of positive, or they'll view it as positive for longevity. That's all they're searching for. They're searching for longevity. For some reason, they don't want to leave this realm, Mark. For some reason, the people in power don't want to leave.
Yeah, I mean, I don't just necessarily think it's people in power per se, but that's definitely part of it. When you've got so much wealth, because when you accumulate wealth, I think a lot of people go through this fear of losing it.
Yes.
Right. I see that in a lot of people, my friends and people that I know, and that's not healthy.
No.
And so they'll affect themselves, they'll affect their life, and they'll do stupid things and they'll ruin their life because of it. That's why I say when you walk into a casino and you put some money in and then you pull the handle and it goes ba 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 and you win 10,000, that's the worst thing that could possibly happen to you, because you'll become addicted.
Yes.
Straight away.
Well, why do gambling companies give you the first £10 bet free?
Exactly my point. So that the same feeling is what we're talking about here. It's all about how to manage that and how to understand it. Most people will just become addicted to it. Most people will just hold on to it and not let it go, and then ruin their life, ruin their relationship. And it really is that way. And I guess part of my understanding of once I started to create a bit of wealth and it started coming in because of COVID and everybody was buying my crystals, it's like, I don't care, that the money doesn't matter to me. I don't care. You do what you want. I'd walk away from it tomorrow if it starts to make me feel crazy and I start to, get angry at people because of this. It's like, so I think this is where I think, spiritually speaking, it is. I think when you take a drug, you open up to a frequency that can allow in other frequencies, foreign frequencies, extraterrestrial entities into you, and then you're now not you. You've now got not just parasites inside you, but you've got a spiritual parasite in you. And that's the same with greed as well. If you become greedy and start getting angry about it and it's mine, and you'll open yourself up. And I think that's got a lot to do with it. But we can also not talk about the fact that these bodies are not all from inside the bodies are not all from the spirit world. They come from different worlds. And I think some people are just spiritually different for us. And you speak to them and they're nothing like you or I at all. Their thought process, their anger, their greed, their rage, their disconnect. Like, have you got any empathy at all? Do you not feel any pain towards what you're saying or doing to somebody, a co-worker or your staff? So it's like that. I've come to understand that there's not just one thing that we're dealing with in a body. Like, there's so many aspects of who we are and who other people are, and that's something that we don't really talk about. And I did a podcast. I did a video this morning. And I kid you not, there was this beautiful girl. She was about 20 years old. I'm sat here. She sat there with a friend and they were having a normal conversation. Then she got up and my little doggy started barking and she looked at me. And if she could have killed me, she would have killed me. And she'd got a dog. She'd got a dog as well. But her look was like she wanted to kill me. And I actually felt a demonic presence in her. But it wasn't her.
No,
it was
somebody
that
coming through her.
Yeah, and I tell you what, Dom, it affected me for about.
It does, Mark. When you meet people like that, it does.
It took me an hour to clear that out of me. So whatever it was really strong, and I'm starting to recognize this more and more in people. That, like, I'm not blaming the person. I'm just thinking, no, there's an attachment, and that's why I do a lot of videos telling people to try this crystal, because it's got a frequency that attachment doesn't like. So I'm recommending things that might help them. I'm doing aura sprays that of Sage and Paolo Santo try and help people from not getting attachments, because I think now, because of the soup that we live in, that frequency is geared up for exactly the same reason why CERN opens its portals.
Its doors, yeah.
And that door opens and the frequency is like, come on in, guys. We've turned up the nice temperature for you. It's nice, perfect. Come in and just get yourself attached to anybody who you want. And not many people are talking about it.
It's weird because the guys that invented what they call Geordie. What's the thing that Google used? Begins with D. The D wave. He were basically saying D wave can summon up entities. It's a program that Google used.
Sure, it can. I'm sure there's loads of programs that are summoning up entity, because it's the frequency. That's all it is. It's not summoning anything up. It's just using the right frequency to demonic. And it makes sense. If somebody's lying down and they're screaming and they're going crazy saying there's something wrong with them, the first thing the military is going to do is figure out what that frequency is. They're going to find out what that frequency is going to calm that entity down. And then they're going to use that. It makes sense.
Well, our mate Barry Trowell were talking about this 15 years ago, weren't he? And the rest, a long time ago. He wasn't talking about the entities. He was talking about the frequencies being able to cause people to go insane.
Yeah. To change the thought process.
What we've been talking about there is basically taking it to the next place, which is, it's not that it's making them go insane, it's opening doors up in the brain to allow things in to make them go insane or appear insane, let's just say. Cheech had just put a thing, his dad's just been rushed into hospital with appendicitis.
That's got a lot to do with parasites.
Yeah, I know. But, once they're in, they've got to have it out, sadly. Well, send in all his best thoughts, Cheech, for him.
Yeah, totally. You doesn't want to be. My sister was wanting a good place because hers burst, and that's not what you want. But obviously, when he's back and he's come out and he starts to heal himself, he wants to be looking at cleansing his body of parasites. I think as well, personally. Yeah. I think we all do.
Yes,
I think I've been doing that to do it. As a regular thing every few months. We all need to do it.
Going back into the old days, people used to do that, whether they were fasting or eating plants. They used to do, dogs do it when they eat grass and things like that naturally. Yeah. Animals know how to do it naturally. We've lost that. We don't get told, obviously, with the Rockefeller medicine type scenario that we're living through now, we don't get told about these things anymore because they want us to have these things in the system.
You know, when I look at animals, especially dogs, I've had 4 dogs now, and not all my dogs eat poo. Yeah. Not all my dogs lick wee on the floor, and I sometimes think to myself that maybe that they have parasites, and that the parasites are actually wanting them to eat more poo to be able to have more parasites in their body. It's almost like
I would say
to eat crap.
Yeah, but I would say, well, they do, because the toxoplasma, or whatever it were called, forget what it were called now. Anyway, that actually gets into a cat via a cat eating a mouse, for argument's sake, and it controls their behaviour, and it makes them makes the rat or the mouse more risk-taking. It'll go close to a cat and end up getting eaten. The parasite makes it do that, and then we get the parasite and we become more risk-taking.
It's almost like the parasite is of super intelligence.
Yes.
And we don't give it credit for.
I would even go as far as saying the parasite could be controlled by the master parasite. And it could be some kind of biological remote control entity. I know that's wacky out there, but
my theory is that it came in of this world and it wasn't of this world, and that's why it's connected to cats. And Egyptian times, they used to see cats as gods. I think there's a connection between parasites and that they were brought into this world. I don't think they were here originally. I've got friends who actually believe that parasites are good for you. And
symbiotic.
I said to one of my friends, I sent a video of the tumor, and inside the tumor there's thousands of parasites, and she says, look, it's probably eating all the bad stuff. And I'm like, well, my theory is yes, it's eating all the bad stuff,
or it's living off it,
but it's growing.
Yes.
That means it's not shrinking. That means it's growing, which means that they're feeding from it.
Well, you do know that people with the monkey positive bloodline, I think it's the positive or the negative, rhesus negative. That's the 0. whatever percent of people. I think there's 0.5. I think there's 5 or 7% of people carry that negative. It's even the positive or negative. I've forgotten now. Carry the rhesus monkey, but within that 7% or 10% or whatever it is, it's obviously broken down into the normal bloods. Yeah, A, B, with blah blah blah, and some of those can get rid of parasites. So the royal bloodline can actually eliminate parasites.
There you go.
Yeah, naturally. Whereas the normal run-of-the-mill bloodline or blood or genetics, whatever you want to call it, can't get rid of parasites.
Amazing. Doesn't that tell you something?
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? But
especially when we talk about rituals. And
I know. And blood licking and whatever you want, blood letting.
Well, even
the murdering. Yeah, I didn't want to say that, but yeah.
That's fascinating.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to play an Ariana Grande video. Ariana Grande, that singer who was she was the singer at the Manchester Arena, and wasn't she just in that? Is that her who were in that Wicked film, or she were in one of the films anyway? But just look at the state of her, Mark, here now, and she's talking about
Laser treatment to me, so I'm having trouble remembering the details. They're foggy because at the Brighter Days Clinic they do the memory erasure, you know.
So did Ariana Grande just admit that she's going to a clinic, some Hollywood celebrity clinic that erases her memories? I mean, that seems like concerning.
The memory erasure, they erase my memories. It's a little foggy, but
if you could remember, struggle, tell me, give me a date. Give me a date.
You know what? I'll have to go back to the clinic and see if they can restore my memory.
It's going to be soon.
So I decided to do a quick deep dive into this clinic that she has been going to. That's
freaky, pal. I don't know what's going on, mate, but it's becoming more and more evident that we live in an absolute crazy world now. Really, I mean, what's going on with this medical mafia, and it's almost there's no words. I mean, she doesn't look well at all.
No, she doesn't.
She does not look well.
I mean, they're all on that Ozempic, is it? Ozempic with that weight loss drug that they're all taking, which is basically for diabetics. They're injecting Ozempic. There's another one. The government over here has announced it that for anybody who's obese, they can take this weight loss drug. But what it does is, they found out that they take this drug, which is it was designed initially for diabetics, and they've realised people can lose weight for it. So non-diabetics are now taking it.
Yeah. Can you imagine that? We'll create this product, and then we've seen a side effect. We're going to use it for that now.
There is a name for that where it's like I forget what they call it. Like they found a bit like the Viagra, where they did it for heart issues and realised, it gave people 45-degree issues. Anyway, we'll move on from that one. But what this Ozempic does is not only do they lose weight, but they lose all the muscle mass as well.
Wow.
Right? So the face sags. So then they're going for having to go for face operations because all the cheek muscles have gone and all the muscles in the body have gone. I was talking to a doctor friend of mine who's on our side of the fence, and he was saying that that people are having it, but they're having like the full dose for months on end, losing loads of weight, but they lose all the body mass as well. So they look like they've just been starved for, that starvation look that she had there.
And it's legal.
Imagine
if I created a product like that and the side effects were
people get closed down.
I won't be closed down. I'll be put in prison for 20 years, an example.
Yeah, exactly. Well, if you said your tea gets rid of this and does that, or my vitamin does this, that, and other, we'd be closed down.
Yeah. No.
And yet they can legally sell a drug to people that destroys them.
Yeah, medical mafia. End of story. They're just a mafioso. That's what they are, and we all know it. And yet we still don't seem to turn to real medicine, we still run back to them. It's just a program.
There are so many people on this Ozempic now, though, Mark. You can tell it's another one of those programs that they're running within the system. Obviously, it starts with the celebs doing it. They put it on Instagram. I've lost a stone over 2 months.
Oprah Winfrey, she was one of them who pushed.
I think a lot of these people have started taking it now. It's
programming. It's a psyop. It's MK Ultra to the public.
Yes.
That's what it is, and people just don't see it. Instead of, doing something healthy for yourself.
MK Ultra to the public, yeah. Might just have invented a new product there, Mark.
It's madness, though, innit?
It is madness, mate, yeah.
It's like, I remember...
somebody's put here, actually, exploiting the vanity of society. Amy and Patrick, that's...
Totally.
Yeah. Exploiting the vanity of society, and that is what it is. But then again, I pointed out that all of Trump's team are on some kind of testosterone replacement therapy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you've got a load of. I mean, we went to gym, Mark. We know what roidheads do, right? We know what them idiots, what people do when they roid. Yeah. We witnessed it.
Ultra Orange, do you remember that?
Ultimate Orange, yeah.
Ultra Orange.
Yeah.
That was the ones who didn't want to start injecting all that nonsense inside the legs. Ultimate Orange was, it was just like taking...
ephedrine.
It's like taking vitamin, like pouring vitamins down you, and like your adrenaline goes up and your heart beats. And it was actually...
It was like Red Bull, wasn't it? Like Red Bull.
It was poison. It was basically killing. It was killing people. It did kill people.
It made people addicted. Yeah.
And people threw up, and they're like, see, it was awful. But at the time, it's legal, guys. What are you talking about? It's legal. It's fine. It's used for bodybuilders. That's what they use. It was the next level than creatine, right?
Yes. Well, it was. The thing was it was high caffeine. What they call them is. They call them pre-stims for pre-workouts. They call them now. So Ultimate Orange was probably the first generation of a pre-workout. Right. So what it does basically gives you energy to go into the workout, like Red Bull does. So it was like a powdered version of Red Bull or these Monster energy drinks.
Times 100.
Yeah, times 100. So I don't think it had any vitamins in it. It didn't have any minerals in it. It was just like ephedrine and all that type of crap that were in it, and caffeine.
Yeah. And I was prescribed that by the guy at the gym at Maloney's. He says, try it. It's good stuff. And I'm like,
this was in the 90s, wasn't it? 90s.
We didn't need anything.
No.
I used to go to the gym 7 days a week at Maloney's.
Because at that point we're idiots.
Well, yeah, maybe
on a learning trip.
No, that's not necessarily, Dom, because I didn't shoot up. I didn't take.
No, I didn't either. No,
bull
roids and stuff like that. Yeah,
whatever it was. Yeah. I mean, we even said to these people, like, we didn't even go up to them. Do you remember? Some of them, they were getting these jaws and they were getting angry. And like, we used to have a laugh. Like, if there was a big guy at the gym, you'd be the first one to say, "How you doing? You've lost some weight." Yeah. As a joke, right? You couldn't say that to certain people because you knew they were on steroids. Is it steroids? Yeah. And that was serious stuff, man. They were like losing their minds. So even then, we knew
a lot of them out here now.
Really?
Out here now. A lot of them lads out here now.
I didn't know. I'm not in Huddersfield, so I don't know. But yeah, wow, it's mad stuff. I mean, yeah. I remember watching this program done once, and it was in America, and this guy had left his company in America because he was selling certain steroids for people, injecting them to, bodybuilding ones. Yeah. And he had to leave America because he was going to get prosecuted because he was getting all these kids and shooting them up to become the world champions. And that was just, I just don't get it. And like, we're talking about our teas, which is natural, like from a herb, and we're like, where we're so careful about what we say, and we're so worried that we don't want to, like I have all my oils.
I know.
I have to know everything about I have to know where they come from. I want them food grade. I want them absolutely organic. I want to know everything before I even consider touching anything.
Yeah.
Like, wow, most of the products, guys, that you buy from corporations, from Boots, that stuff ain't what you think. The packaging looks nice. It ain't what you think. They spend most of their money on the packaging and not on the product.
Yes.
Most of the money is made by the cheap shit that you rub on your skin or the oil that you rub on. It's the cheapest, nastiest, but the packaging's lovely.
Oh, packaging's nice. Well designed.
Packaging, the PR, best.
I'm going to play this guy right now.
Dom, can I just go to the toilet a second?
Yeah, we're going to finish anyway after this one, Mark.
All
if
right,
you're
go on,
down for a minute, yeah.
Okay,
I'm going to play this guy. This is what gets me into genetics. This guy's called Sir Humphrey Tyrrell Wakefield, right? It's only a minute long. He's the father-in-law of Dominic Cummings. You remember Dominic Cummings, who was the chief advisor to... he's talking about how they choose their lineages in the
quality is everything. But in general, to be elitist, I think the quality climbs up the tree of life, and therefore, in general, high things in the tree of life have quality and have skills, and they get wonderful degrees at university, and if they marry each other, that gets them better again.
So you wouldn't have minded if one of your children had met someone from a lower socio-economic group who was intelligent and talented and...
Intelligence and talent is lovely, but I want parents and grandparents who've had hands-on success running their battles well and proving they're wonderful, because one is the subject of one's genes, and I think I like the idea of them being successful genes and winning through to successful puppies.
Some things haven't been in genes though, have they? Like, there's been some outstanding people and geniuses who've been like first generation.
No, they aren't. Very few first generation geniuses.
Very few, but there's still few.
Like which?
Would they have been allowed?
I mean,
that's what I mean,
of course there are.
You're saying very few.
But normally, you think Bertrand Russell, for instance. Okay, ancient family, Dukes of Bedford, Wittgenstein, ancient family.
Says it all, Dom.
Yeah.
That actually just shows you. It tells you exactly what their teaching is, what is important to them, right? That's there in your face. They're telling you straight. They're not hiding it. They're quite happy to tell you. You know, it's a bit like a racist dad.
Yes.
You know, it's like you're not bringing that person home. You know, it's the kind of the same thing, really.
Yeah.
But that should be of interest to us, because now you're starting to understand what it's all about. And I think he was actually talking about bloodlines.
He was talking about bloodlines,
right?
Yes.
But
he
I
was
talking about. They understood that.
No, they didn't understand that. That he was basically saying they pick out who they're marrying into.
Yeah, good
because they want to keep the bloodline going.
Thoroughbred. We need a thoroughbred.
Successful puppies, as he said. And that's why when I do the bloodlines, I'm not saying that everybody's bad who you do the research on, because I'm sure they're not. But it's still important to why they've been chosen.
Yeah. My dad would have said that guy's got some shit under his nose.
Yeah, plum under his yeah.
Or a hot potato, my dad used to say. Bloody hot potato in his mouth.
Yeah. Well, we're going to end it there, guys. We did say we're only going to do about an hour tonight, but we've got rattled on a bit longer than we were going to. So I hope you've enjoyed it all. We'll catch you next time. We'll do another few of these because I quite enjoy it on a Sunday evening.
Yeah, it's lovely. I really enjoy it. And even though I got my arms crossed and feel like, don't ever think it's anything to do with Dom. I love Dom. He's a good friend of mine, and I love the conversation. And we have deeper conversations than this. We go far deeper.
Yeah, a lot deeper.
You know, but we have to be careful on here, guys. So, but thanks for joining us. Thank you for being here. Love you all.
See you in a bit.